They want attacking, purposeful football all the time. Now we've got our backs against the wall and we're going to fight, and we're going to fight hard. You've got to show me all the guts and all the determination you've got in your body. You've got to inspire me.
A marvellous kick. That's as good as you'll ever see. And Footscray back in front.
From inside the centre square, Boys kick the goal. Boys kick the goal. From inside the centre. I can't believe that.
Hey Pack, welcome to Danny Boyd. It's a podcast about your favourite, the greatest, the most perfect, wonderful, just the entity that gives us all joy and love. That is the Footscray Football Club, trading as Western Bulldogs. I'm Danny McGinlay, he's Tom Boyd. Boydie, did you watch? We're just doing a quick intro here because we recorded some interviews last week at Whitten Oval in the inner sanctum, but at that point we hadn't lost to Gold Coast yet. Did you watch the Gold Coast game?
Well, firstly, Danny, joy, love, amongst other emotions that this football club provides to us as fans. None of which that have been listed so far was what I felt watching the game on Saturday night. It was just a tough game of footy to watch, wasn't it? Just every time one team seemed to sort of half work out the conditions, then the other team would make life difficult. And, it was disappointing. I mean, I think if we lost to Gold Coast 6 weeks ago, I would have been in a very dark place over the weekend. But I think, it's in Darwin. It's a tough position to play. We've had a really strong 7 weeks. Now it's just time to reset and, take our medicine, lick our wounds and have a crack this week against a mob that we haven't played well against historically.
Oh, God, no. No, we haven't. We never. It feels like we never beat Geelong. Just on Gold Coast, though, I feel like there was a modicum of revenge for the Suns for the amount of times we've played them at Ballarat in, icy cold conditions, which they're not used to. So they've gone, all right, now stuff you. We're going to play you in the conditions that suit us the best. Of course, Gold Coast are going to play humidity better than the team from West Footscray. So I kind of feel like, fair enough. We'll take our medicine on that. But I also feel if you replay that game today, we win. We just everything went against us. Not the umpiring. Umpire was definitely in our favour. I will fully admit that. Cody had a few dramatic turns, shall we say. But I just feel we are the better side and we got unlucky that day.
Yeah, I mean, they had some good players play some good footy, right?
Oh, yeah, Rowley.
Okay, what's the name of that kid? He kicked 4 goals in the third quarter or something?
Lukosius.
Yeah, and he can kick a long ball for a guy who doesn't look like, he'd stand up to a strong win. So I'm also, I think you might be getting a little bit ahead of yourself to think that the Gold Coast Suns have any sway over fixturing other than selling games and then getting told who's playing up there with them.
Come on, go into the deep state. This is what the Illuminati, who are always out to get us, want to do.
Well, the Illuminati is the league who owns the Suns, I would argue. But also, mate, speaking of this interview that's coming up, if you want to hear about the inner sanctum conversations that happen when an ex-premiership player and his comedian mate walk into a footy club, but there's only one place to find that, and that's on their Patreon. We had a good chat about running into, some old coaches and teammates and all of the great things that we got to be a part of at that wonderful 1 Whitten Avenue, as I shared with you the other day. So it was great. It was great to be back there. And if you want to hear a bit more about that, jump on the Patreon and we appreciate all the support. But this was a great and very interesting couple of conversations, wasn't it, Danny? What do you think the highlights? So for everyone who's about to jump in, it'll probably be in the title. We spoke to Kashif Bouns, who's the head of the Western Bulldogs Community Foundation, and also Alex Keath, who needs no introduction. What was the best part for you, mate?
The thing that surprised me the most is I left this interview more of a Bulldogs fan. I didn't think you could top up. I thought I was already 100%, but it made me love our club even more. Because, I've heard about the Community Foundation, but I didn't know the nitty-gritty of what they did. And learning about that just made me fall in love with this club even more. So the chat to Cash was generally good. Keathy was great. It's always great to chat to a current player. But Cash really opened my eyes to the magical stuff that we're doing. That was the highlight for me.
Well, funnily enough, so we did that last Monday. Obviously, this is coming out Wednesday the 31st, I believe, Danny. And yes. On last Thursday, so a few days after our session, I went to the Sons of the West graduation, and there were multiple people there who said, when's Danny going to come down and join the Sons of the West program? And I said,
really?
but he lives in North because he's on North side. He goes, it's not that far. It's really not that far. So the message of your lack of understanding of how to get involved has spread far and wide amongst Bulldogs faithful, mate. And I was lucky enough to be a part of 80 or so guys graduating from the Laverton and also the Newport groups, which was awesome. And,
all right, well, I'll do your deal. I'll come and join Sons of the West when you come down and do a training session with my under 9s.
You've got to do something for 10 weeks. It's free, admittedly. And I've got to come
all right,
to
you
one
coach 10
session.
sessions then.
I don't know if under 9s and me have a particular affinity. But in all honesty, we'll wrap this up and get into the episode now. It was a great chat with the two guys. I think that, our club does many things well, many things poorly at times, like all clubs do. But I think the work that they do with the foundation, particularly, catering for the real multiculturalism that we have, the different challenges we have in the inner west specifically, rather than just trying to do everything for all people. We really do a great job of integrating with our Western suburb supporters and the people that live in our area. So it's a great chat with Cash and with Keathy, and I hope you all enjoy.
And if you do want to get on the Patreon, we have an exciting announcement about a Patreon-only event, which is coming soon. You want to know more? Patreon.com/DannyBoydBulldogs.
We've been barreled into a very secret compartment here at the home of football, Whitten Oval. As you come in, there's a construction site and you can go through reception. If you do a secret handshake, you're led through a series of doors like the opening credits of Get Smart. Boydie and I have just walked past a whole lot of people who wanted to shake his hand. We just saw Bubba Smith. I saw Bevo. I saw Cody Waitman looking at some edits. It's very exciting. But now we're in this secret room. But Boydie, what's going on?
Well, firstly, I must say that there must have been an uproar at this football club now that the Barker's Cafe has been transformed into a gym, because footballers don't want to do gym, they want to drink coffee.
That's right.
And there's no cafe here anymore.
Didn't you see the coffee cart?
Well, coffee cart, cafe, different story. But also, I must say, there's a bit of nostalgia walking into the Western Bulldogs, but also I think a bit of jealousy, because beyond sort of the end of my tenure here, the place was getting a bit tired, and now there is steel structures that, to the magnitude of the Empire State Building, being built at 1 Whitten Avenue, Footscray.
Is that the name of the street? Have they renamed it?
Yep. Yeah, the car park street is Whitten Avenue.
I thought it was Sutton Way.
No, I think Sutton Way might be out there too. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today.
It should be Boyd Boulevard. Let's be honest here. Anyway, what are we doing here? Come on.
We are recording this the week after, or a couple of days after the Adelaide game up in Ballarat. We've just won 5 on the trot, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We've got incredible guests joining us. As many of you know, I came on board as the Western Bulldogs Community Foundation ambassador alongside the one and only Michael Rowland. ABC Breakfast, great man,
friend of the show,
great hair. Great presenter, friend of the show. And one of the things that I thought was really important to do for all of the people who listen to the Bulldogs is to put a bit of context behind what the foundation is, who the people that we work with at the foundation are, the programs that we run, and how the Bulldogs utilise their platform to make an impact. And who better to tell us about that than the CEO?
Well, General Manager, Community and Government Relations at the Doggies.
Okay, CEO of the Western Bulldogs Community Foundation, the one and only Cash. How are you, mate?
I'm great, and great to have you both in the inner sanctum of the Western Bulldogs Football Club.
Yeah, this is because we're in they've put us in the studio, but it feels like we're being put into a bomb shelter
or a broom closet at times.
Well, yeah.
To give everyone a bit of context, it's not that we've been shafted into the cupboard. It's that the Bulldogs is in a very big state of transformation at the moment, and everything's kind of everywhere. But
Absolutely.
in 12 to 18 months, depending on the timeline, it'll all be beautiful. But Cash, thanks for joining us. What we really wanted to, I suppose, get a bit of a picture for is, and maybe the best place to start is, when did you join the foundation? What is the sort of purpose of the foundation, and why do the Bulldogs obviously have a foundation in the first place?
No, thank you. As you may know, that I started my career at the AFL, and I was working at the AFL looking after clubs across Australia. So I was the National Multicultural and Indigenous Programs Manager. And while I was there was a lot of respect that I had for the Bulldogs and the work they were doing in the community, and especially the Community Foundation, because the difference about the foundation is it's a separate entity. It's got its own board, so it's a whole organization in itself. And the CEO of the foundation, as you said, sit on the executive team at the club, which just shows how important it is for the club to have community represented at the exec level. So when the role came up at the foundation in 2016, it's obviously doggies were doing really well.
We did okay. Yeah.
They hadn't won.
Rising tide, all boats.
They hadn't won the premiership yet, but we were right up there in the mix, and the job came up, and I was so excited to put my hat in the ring because of the respect that I had for what the doggies were doing. And when I came in, I was just completely blown away because what I knew from looking outside in was fraction of what the work, the amount of work that's done at the foundation and by the club.
Hang on. Pull up the pony there. When did you come in? What's the exact date, or roughly?
Oh, well, I signed the contract before the premiership win. I started afterwards.
The day
started
before.
Afterwards.
So, that's enough. That's enough. You're a premiership hero.
Exactly
Congrats,
right.
Cash.
I was actually going to get one of those watches, the premiership watches.
Well, you can borrow this one. I'm wearing it today.
I'm still gutted I didn't put the order in. I was too new and too shy.
I'd be preaching to the converted here, but one of the things I've spoken about on this podcast is just the shock that sort of ran through my system walking into a club as established as the Bulldogs. After starting with the Giants, bit of a sort of focus group club, Johnny, throwback to one of your great banners. And the sort of lack of history was really stark. But the other thing that I'd never really dealt with before in any of my clubs, given that I played suburban footy and state level footy and all that sort of stuff, was a club like Footscray, which is so heavily embedded in the very close proximal suburbs. It's Yarraville, it's Seddon, it's Footscray, it's West Footscray, it's Brooklyn, and then it's Ballarat. And we have such a strong tie to those communities. I think that provides a great platform. Is that something that you sort of noticed when you first joined the foundation, that the football club has a monopoly on the sort of inner west of Melbourne?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Bob Murphy said once that we may not have the largest supporter base, but we've been hands down on the car bumper stickers. And the people here are really passionate, and especially in 2016, you saw red, white, blue everywhere, and there was so much passion in the West. And we forget that a lot of people in the western suburbs are first generation migrant. They did not grow up with the game. The game is new to them, but they still connected with the club, and they saw it as their victory. And it was the victory of the West. It was not just about the doggies. It was a whole community, a whole geographical region that has not had it as good as some other areas, but then they were able to, that was their moment to shine. So that was great to witness.
All because you signed a contract.
Yes, I did.
Well done.
I'm claiming
Victory for the West really sounds like a Game of Thrones reference, doesn't it?
It does,
gets the hair and the back of the neck tingling. So how, given that, and given the landscape that you find yourself in Footscray, how does the Community Foundation sort of leverage that, what would you say, cultural, geographical attachment to the footy club to, one, implement programs in the first place, but two, obviously make them really, really sticky and really enjoyable?
Yeah, I think it's about sticking to your strengths. And I know even in your book you talk about that strength-based approach, and that's what we try to take. We want people to be at their best, and we want to help them get there. We know that we're not a big not-for-profit. We're not a youth organization. We're not a Salvation Army. Our strength is our brand, the brand of the football club, and the emotional connection that people have with the club and our players. So how do we use that to reach out to a cohort that are otherwise disconnected to the services? So that's all we do. So we don't say that we have all the answers. We just provide that environment and connection between people and service providers. That's how we do it.
So you've got the Community Foundation. I get the emails from the club saying things like Sons of the West program. So what is that? What if I sign up to Sons of the West? First of all, I live in the north. Does that exclude me, or can I drive over?
We'll find a way for you.
Okay, thank you.
We're a broad church at the doggies.
Excellent. Yeah. So what I rock up to my first day of Sons of the West. What's gonna happen?
So it's basically a men's health program. And what we've learned over time is that the men's suicide rates, the men homelessness rate, the men unemployment rate are higher than women, and they are higher in the West than anywhere else in the state. So there was a real issue that we found that was unfolding in the West, and how can the club help? And a lot of these men, they don't go to GPs, don't go and see some counselors, they don't get the help. What do they look towards? They look at football, they look at players, that those are their role models. So that's how Sons of the West was born, that how do we use the power of the football club to have these conversations with men around mental health, around physical health, around going and getting a GP, seeing a GP and getting some checks done. So that's how the program started, and it's very much about creating that safe space for men. So when the first week they walk in, it's very friendly, it's a bit of an induction, get to know you, and then as the program continues over the 10 weeks, they get to hear from speakers like Whitey about mental health. They hear from other men like them, but we also try to connect them with local service providers. And also each session has both a physical exercise component as well as education component. So they might learn about prostate cancer 1 week, but at the same time they're doing some exercise. And by the end of 10 weeks, they walk away with a sense of achievement, but also with a number of friends and information on where they can find help in their communities.
And it's 100% free, isn't it, Cash?
Absolutely, it is. For the participants, it is.
Is there a cap of the amount of people who can join?
Look, on the back of Boydie's heroics in 2016, we had up to 900 men join the program in 1 year across 14 sites, and at some sites we had around 100 men. So it became very, very crowded, even in a pre-COVID world. It was a hazard. So then OHS kicked in, and we now have a capacity at each venue based on what that venue can accommodate. So, for example, if we're running the program in this room, it might only be
this is us three.
One of us would have to leave.
But yeah, we have sessions ranging from 25 to 50 men.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to participate in one of the sessions, as Cash mentioned, where I came and did the quote-unquote education component. So I had the chat with the guys down at the Newport Community Centre, I think it was. And there was probably 50 or 60 people there. You can watch them all chat to each other. They've met through the program. They're having a good time asking each other questions. I'll obviously get up there and do a quick spiel with Alice, and then sort of listen to a bunch of guys ask me questions ranging from all topics, as you can imagine. But to see everyone so engaged, and then to go out and have a bit of fun. I think they did boxercise that night. Yeah. It's something that I remember very vividly. My dad going through at the age of 45, 50, when he was just didn't have footy anymore. He's too old to run by himself. Mm-hmm. He didn't have anything necessarily that he wanted to do for exercise. So 6 or 7 of the guys started what they called Fight Club back at their local footy club, where they'd get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. They'd do pads and bags and stuff together and just try and stay fit, right? And that was a thing that lasted 4 or 5 years. And as soon as I walked into this, I was like, these are the same people. In a different place with an actual thing that's organised and an education component on top of it, which I think is so important.
Oh, absolutely. And as a part of the program, we do what's called GP checks. And it's a bit like the Amazing Race, where you have to go and get collect certain stamps and you win something.
Oh, really? You've gamified it.
Exactly.
That's
right.
perfect for people like me.
Exactly, because you got to motivate them one way or another.
Yeah.
Sometimes Boyd is not enough. Most times he gets the job done, but sometimes we need to put other incentives. And what will be funny for people to hear is a lot of the people are actually not doggy supporters.
Yeah. Really? I was going to ask that. Yeah. Because I think one of the genius things just from hearing about it now is if I went to a thing like that, one of the issues I would have is just breaking the ice and the issues, and sort of just standing there awkwardly with a lot of other men, and you'd be wondering, oh, what's wrong with you? Why have you come here? Am I broken? Men are so proud to admit these things, but if you can just go, how good was Libra on the weekend?
Yeah.
And that's generally is. Yeah, exactly. And that's a great part of it. And it's just, your point, it's just something in common. And I would say a lot of the guys are dog supporters.
Yeah.
I do find myself in good company with people who want to ask me questions most of the time at these events.
Yeah.
But
I hope you, I'm sure Essendon supporters are welcome, but you help the Dogs fans just a little bit more.
Talking about Essendon supporters, so we had this guy, Aaron, in Ballarat. He joined our Ballarat programs, and we didn't know at the time, but he was in the lowest of low points in his life at the time. He's an Essendon supporter.
I think those things are linked.
Yeah. So his not on
the weekend. Yeah, the weekend they have it. Yeah, I was
but his partner somehow talked him into joining Sons of the West. He came to the program begrudgingly, but then fell in love with it, and went through the program, graduated from the program, came back, helped out, and then after a couple of years of involvement, he wrote us an email, and he said, I was very, very close to perhaps taking my own life.
Wow.
When I started the program. This program has completely changed my life, and yes, I still am an Essendon supporter, but I'm very close to convert. I'm hoping he's converted by now.
We've got to get him a membership. And look, as I said, Cash, I think that the people behind these events and these programs and the outreach that the foundation does is exactly why people need to hear these stories. And, I think a lot of people who work in mental health or work in, say, any health provider space, and they're trying to educate people, have these conversations. We all say this sort of cliche thing, which is if you can help one person, then it'll all been worth it. And I think that, that's a great example of exactly that. And that, perhaps that things would have gone differently if you hadn't been a part of the Sons of the West and the Community Foundation more broadly. But I know that you do have to run. So for everyone out there who's listening now, what are the big ticket items coming up for the foundation?
How do you join? I kind of want to get in.
You're about to launch the Daughters of the West, I believe, is about to take off soon. What do people need to know today in May 2023?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get to that in a minute. But, Boydie, I think you made an important point at the start that people don't really know the work that we do. And if they do, they know Sons of the West, which has probably been our highest profile program. And that's helped thanks to you as well. But foundation does a number of different things. So we got health and well-being programs, which are Sons and Daughters of the West. Then we do a lot of work in youth space, which we have a program called the Leadership Project, where we work with young people and help them deliver different projects in their community. We do a lot of work with young Indigenous kids, and obviously Sir Doug Nicholls round just went past, and our participants did the Guard of Honor in Ballarat as well. So we do that, and then we have a lot of work we do with the multicultural communities as well, with our Gold program for young African Australians, and then we do a lot of work with young people as well as adults using football, but teaching them English through football, which can be quite an experience.
So literally there's people going, what is a blinder?
Yeah, exactly. Right. What is a mark?
But it does feel like that the great thing about the foundation is it's reflective of the needs of the community in the Inner West, right? All of those programs that you mentioned, as soon as you say them, you go, okay, that makes sense because we have a large African community in this area. We have a need for youth outreach in all parts of Victoria. Obviously, we've got the stuff you mentioned before about the need for the Sons of the West program to take off in the west of Melbourne. I think that that's what this foundation is about. And I think to your point earlier about the foundation having representation on the executive team of the Bulldogs of the football club, is that this club has to care about its constituents because we're all in this together. We're in a very small part of Melbourne that, as you said, loves the Bulldogs more than anything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And going back to your point around what's coming up, so we got Sons of the West graduations coming up. Okay. You can't join the program, but you can celebrate the success of these men.
Thursday night, I'll be there.
Thursday night, Boydie's going to be there. We got one on...
this will go to where after that.
Yeah, that's right. Last Thursday, I'll be there.
Okay, sweet.
We got Tuesday, we got Ballarat, so that will be the first one, and that will be great. And a lot of these men, and Danny, you made the point around the type of men that joined the program. They're not all broken men. When I first started at the Doggies, I wanted to understand what's the fuss is about with Sons of the West. So I joined the program as a participant. Oh, nice. And I was blown away. So age is pretty similar, so it's more 40 to 55, but then you have plumbers there, you have CEOs, you have bank managers, you have blue collar, white collar, you have people who haven't worked for a little while. So there's real diversity of people, and somehow in that melting pot or in that salad bowl, they all seem to complement each other, which is just beautiful to see. But then a lot of those men have never graduated from anything in their lives as well. So when they graduate from Sons of the West, that's a huge achievement. So yes, you may not be able to attend, but you will see some vision which we'll share via our social media channels. So one thing I would ask everyone to do is please, if you can, follow the Western Bulldogs Community Foundation on socials. That would be great. Yep. And then once Sons is out, then our youth leadership program is about to start. Our goal and knowledge-sharing programs for young Indigenous Australians and African Australians is going to start. And Daughters of the West is what we're registering for at the moment. So all these men, when I first started, apart from premiership and can you bring the cup down and can you bring Boydie down, the other question I got from all the women was, you got a program for men, where is our program? And we obviously delivered, because give the people what they want.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Well, Cash, we can't thank you enough for your time today. I know you've got to run to do much more important stuff than talk to us too.
It's been good fun.
Football stooges as we were. So thank you, and thank you for all the work that you do. And we'll do a good job of making sure that everyone knows where to follow, where to go, where to look at all the content, and of course where to sign up if possible.
No, thank you so much for your support as well. You've been great for us. Thanks, Dan.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
And now we have Alex Keath. just coming into we're still in the smallest room in Whitten Oval. Keathy makes it look even smaller. He's so much bigger than you expect him to be. Welcome, Alex Keath.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe not next to Boydie, but no, it is a very small room
used to
here.
be fit, I swear.
We're nice and cozy.
What are you? You're 200 centimetres?
Just under.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would have hated to play on you, Keith. Did we ever play against each other? Were you at Adelaide?
Yeah, I think I was probably running around
2014?
No, I was a bit late. I debuted AFL 2017, so I might have been running around the sample when you were playing.
Yeah, maybe. I played a fair bit of VFL footy at different stages too, mate. Don't worry. Mate, it's great to have you here. One of the greatest segues of all time, Dunny. You can fix it up in post.
Okay, sure.
Straight into now we have Alex Keath. Is that how we're going to transition into this next stage of the program after 25 years on television and radio?
I'll do some. What do you want? What do you want? Do you want some sound effects? You want to just
like a sound transition to bring him in?
It's called a sonic action trigger in the industry.
Very good. So how long, Keathy, how long have you been with the Dogs now? This is your fourth year?
Yeah, so this is my fourth year. Came across at the end of 2019. So, did pre-season, and then we were staying at home for a little while in March when
what was that
changed.
like? That must have been like, I mean, in one sense, so when you get to a new footy club, I mean, you've been through this, but obviously the listeners haven't. It's a pretty shocking 2 weeks trying to work everything out because everything's new. The game plan's new, the people are new, the building's new, the cafes are new, everyone's new, and you're just trying to get on top of things. But you went straight into pre-season, you've gotten through that stage, and now they're like, now you're going to have to spend an indefinite amount of time on the road. Did your partner come with you at that stage?
Not initially. There was a big period of time there where we were at home and we weren't sure what was going to happen, so they'd shut down the season, obviously, and I remember the first games back were still in Melbourne, so we played at Marvel Stadium. I remember it really clearly against Collingwood with no one in the stadium.
It was one of the worst weekends because we all knew that bad stuff was about to go down, and to compound it, Collingwood thumped us.
Yeah, and it was quiet in the stands. It was that was rough.
Yeah, so eerie. I remember guys having set shots and it just being one of the strangest experiences. But as we all know, it became pretty normal for that year. But yeah, it was a strange year to come to the club. It's sort of as you mentioned, trying to get a handle on everything at the club and build relationships and things. And we had a couple of camps, luckily, before everything changed with COVID. So it was an enjoyable pre-season. And then we were sort of into lockdown.
But you had been to the Bulldogs before. There is one of the most eerie parallel universe videos on social media where you're, as a Melbourne Stars player, have come to the Bulldogs to do a sort of do you play cricket and footy? So in the video, you and I think it's Caleb Daniel play against each other in footy and cricket.
It was with Matthew Wade. I cringe even thinking about that video.
Sorry about that.
Luke Bevo was kind enough to put the video back up when we had James O'Donnell join us at the club. So yeah, he was able to sort of draw a bit of a parallel between the two of us and somehow put that stupid video up. But yeah, I think is it Tuddy and Jordan Roughhead? A couple of great blokes, but had to put up with me carrying on with a goal kicking competition with Matthew Wade. So the Melbourne Stars were doing a bit of a joint promotional thing with the Western Bulldogs. So just out on Whitten Oval.
But it is weird. It's like, to use a reference that neither of you will be old enough to even remember, but there's an episode of Cheers where Frasier's dad, the actor who plays the dad in the TV show Frasier, plays a piano player at the bar. And it's just like, this is anachronistic. This doesn't make sense. Why are you there as a cricket player?
Yeah. How does that come about? And also, do you sit back now and go, why did I let media managers tell me what to do? Because I sit back and think about it all the time.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. They strap.
He's thinking it right now, boy.
He's got daggers in his eyes, thinking about whoever it was organising that rubbish.
Some similarities to being in this room, actually. But no, someone strapped a microphone to me, and away we went. But that was they must have been 2011 or 2012. So it's a strange old world the way it sort of came full circle.
If we went back to you and like you got in a time machine right now and said to 2011, oh, by the way, Alex, you're going to play for the Western Bulldogs. Like, would you have believed it or?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, no, it's been a sort of a strange pathway, but very enjoyable. Plenty of ups and downs, and very very happy to be back at the kennel.
So me and Danny were talking about this on the way in as we did our last minute preparation for this interview. But most people, I would say, at the Bulldogs perhaps don't understand all the different little stages that your sporting career, rather than just your football career, which is the easy one to talk about. How did you sort of, first get the idea in your head that you could be drafted, and then how did you not get drafted, and how did you eventually join the Adelaide Crows, I believe, first, and then how did you end up
Gold
here?
Coast, I think, in there as well. He's a Shep boy, by the way. Steve-O, our friend of the show, Mark Stevens,
Mark Latham,
will be Mark Latham.
Latham Vandermeer, Shep dog too.
We'll love to point out that anyone's from Shepparton, but so tell us your journey.
Sporting wise, I probably started to get a bit more serious with my cricket in the under-19s. I was fortunate enough to make the Australian team, and we had a World Cup when I was in the start of maybe at the end of year 11 at school. That was in New Zealand, and played with some guys that are doing really well in the Test arena now. Josh Hazelwood was one.
Oh, wow.
Mitch Marsh was captain, and Adam Zampa, Kane Richardson, a few other guys are doing really well in 2020 cricket as well. It was an awesome time, and we went through and won the World Cup, which was amazing. Yeah. And on the back of that, sort of had an opportunity to receive a contract offer with Cricket Victoria. But at the same time, Gold Coast were coming into the fold with a TAC Cup or a VFL team initially, and then moving into the AFL. So they chose 12 17-year-olds, and
David Swallow and all those boys, right?
Yep. Yeah, David Swallow, Josh Toy, Tom Nichols, Stephen May was part of it, but I think he might have been
Mackenzie, maybe.
Trent Mackenzie at Port Adelaide now. There's not many, if any, left at the Gold Coast now. But so I was sort of part of that group initially, and trained up there a little bit in my year 12 year, and but once the under-19 World Cup cricket had happened, and there was an offer to play cricket professionally. That was what I absolutely loved doing, and something I wanted to have a real crack at. So that was sort of the initial pathway from school.
So playing AFL football was your second option.
It's backup plan.
Do you know how many flat people there are on this score listening to this going, I couldn't have done either,
Yeah, no, I'm right here. Yeah.
So how do you then, go through the cricketing sort of experience, your cricketing career? How long did that last? And then when did you start playing footy again?
Yeah, so it was probably maybe 5 years, I'd say. It was a really challenging period. I had some initial success and did really well in second 11 cricket and in club cricket. I was always a reasonably strong club cricketer, but taking that next step was a real challenge. No, I was more a batsman and bowled a little bit as well, but taking the next step as an all-rounder was a bit of a challenge for me. And as I said, I had some success early, did well in the second 11 competition, and broke into the Victorian side. We played against the England side. They used to play a tour game. No one's got any time for tour games these days in the cricket landscape. But back in those days, they'd play against a state team. So that was my first class match.
How'd you go?
I made 40 odd in the second innings. Yeah,
it's an average that'll keep you in the test side,
Yeah.
Did you go? Did you bowl any of them out?
No, I didn't get a bowl. I was no bowling, which was probably fortunate because Alistair Cook was playing with a barn door for that series. I can't remember his numbers, but they went through and won the Ashes in Australia.
This is that. Yeah, this is why I blocked it from my memory. This is not a good time.
Summer.
Where did you field?
I used to be an okay field. Unfortunately, fielding was probably one of my stronger suits in cricket. So it would have been nice to be have the strength in batting or bowling. But yeah, I used to love my fielding. It got me a few gigs doing 12th man and mixing the drinks, and I'd occasionally get on the field to give a fast bowler a shower or whatever they do when they go off the field for a bit of a rest. So cover or sometimes in the gully because it was sort of where I'd.
All right, answer me this: what's scarier? You're at gully. Alistair Cook whacks it. It's coming at your face at about 200 kilometres an hour, and that ball is hard as a rock. Or hospital ball coming into the inside 50, you've got to try and take a grab, and you know as soon as you touch that ball, 3 attackers are going to be... Tom Hawkins going to bowl you over. What's scarier?
I'd probably say fielding in the gully. I don't think there's ever an easy slips catch.
Tomahawk.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I'm with him. I'm with that ball.
I agree.
That's
I'm a bar of those things. They're too hard.
No, it would be horrible having big Tomahawk run through you, but in the slips or in the gully, and you've always got the added pressure of the fast bowlers who have been toiling away all day, and if you put the catch down, they don't forget it. So
what you're saying is the equivalent of fast bowlers in the AFL is Bevo. Because if you don't go and you don't take the mark, he's the fast bowler coming over the top going, why didn't you take that, mate?
Yeah, you don't want to drop too many catches for Bevo, that's for sure.
All right, and just while we're on that, you say mixing the drinks. What actually, goes into the drinks? It's not just water, or are you doing cordial? Is this
in Carlton Drafts back in the day?
You got a bit of shaken, not stirred.
No exact science to it, but some of the batsmen get pretty particular about what they want. So I once got a decent spray for not having the correct colour of hydrolyte in a player's drink bottle. Which,
wow.
Which I found pretty amusing, but I certainly didn't giggle. I was running off to tip it out and right my wrongs.
What's worse, being 12th man or the sub? Or actually being 12th man or subbed?
Yeah, being subbed is no good. I'm not a massive fan of the rule in general.
No, neither am I, because it's always a tall bloke that comes off.
Yeah, well, lucky enough, I don't think many teams go with a tall bloke as the sub to start with, so you're normally an emergency or out of the team.
All connection with this rule is bad.
Correct.
I can't believe the 12th man actually has to mix the drink. I knew
demeaning.
Technically you bring it out, but I thought there'd be someone from catering or the sports science department who would do it.
Or a trainer, or
so
anyone.
You're literally there just going, David Warner wants the purple hydrolyte.
Yeah, no, you're probably right at the Australian level and the international players.
You were Victorian Melbourne Stars.
The state teams aren't very heavily resourced at all. So
actually at the Melbourne Stars, we should just be stoked they're getting hydrolyte and not Mountain Dew. Sorry, it's a sponsorship, boys. You got to drink this.
They would love it, I reckon.
You could use the term "taste the dew" as you hit a 6. That would be great.
Yeah. I think Andy Lee actually at the Melbourne Stars coined himself the Chief Hydration Officer.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so the players weren't allowed to do much of that. That was his domain.
Well,
it's a very serious league.
Yeah.
Big Bash.
Yeah. So you played a bit of Big Bash as well, obviously. How did you find that? I mean, so when you were going through your initial cricketing foray, 2020 would have just been coming on the scene pretty much for the first time. 2020,
the format, not the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely it was. It was a really exciting time with the Big Bash coming in for the first time. There was a massive following for 2020 cricket with the state-based games. A lot of people would remember it was really heavily followed.
Oh, yeah, back when it was like the Bushrangers versus the Redbacks and stuff. That was exciting.
It was even big at club level. Like, I remember games where they'd be absolutely packed at, like, Wonga Park or any of the sub-district grounds where they'd be playing 2020 night games.
Oh, really? Like local stuff?
It was massive out in the local leagues, but it never sort of got onto TV until you guys came in.
Yeah. I hope your listeners like cricket, and because I could talk it all day. Please stop me if I'm talking too much cricket.
The next question is, you obviously like cricket more than football.
Well, I can bring it. I can sort of bring it back. Here's so how much of a fanboy were you when James O'Donnell walks in? Are you just like straight at him going, "Tell us about your dad"?
Yeah, no, I'd met his dad before. I actually had coffee with his old man, which was pretty special. He's still got the biggest 6 ever hit at the MCG.
That's a good place to have it too.
Yeah, you see the yellow seat that's painted behind the bowler's arm, and with the older type of bats, it's a pretty awesome achievement, I've got to say. But
my mate Tom Seagate, he's the suburban footballer. People might know his work. He tells a ripping story about going on an MCG tour, and they point out the yellow seat, and they go, "That's from the biggest 6 ever hit." And the dumb tourist went, "What are the odds that he hit the one yellow seat?"
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, but no, James has been fantastic. He's put his best foot forward around the club and trained really hard and done well at VFL level, and obviously got to have his debut, I think, last week or the week before when this airs. And he's been fantastic. He's prepares himself really well, and looking to do his best in the footy industry after having a really good crack at cricket.
Actually, were you excited? I saw on the socials that Merv Hughes, friend of the show, was at training the other week. Do you find is it more nerve-wracking when one of the best Australian cricketers of all time is watching you train?
Yeah, definitely. Merv's, I think we're training in Braybrook, but he's obviously got the oval named after him down at Footscray. So it's pretty awesome to have him in at the club, and he spoke to the development boys a little bit about professional habits and
Really? No, he didn't. Mate, we had him on the podcast. Let's just stop you there, because Merv told us that someone tried to give him a diet at the end of his career, and he goes, "Why?" He goes, "I'll have pizza and fish and chips the night before I go." And then I remember him telling us, what was the other bit? He goes, they started trying to do conditioning at cricket training, and he goes, "I'm just going to bowl." And I'm going to field, I'm going to bowl hard, I'm going to field hard, and I'm going to bat hard, but I'm not running. It's cricket.
Maybe the whole thing is, did he do a talk on what not to do?
Sorry, I think he spoke through his career and some of the highs and lows, and
wow,
it was actually fantastic. The boys absolutely loved it. So having someone like that who's, one of the biggest names ever in certainly Victorian cricket, but also Australian cricket, come in and give us their time is pretty special.
We love Merv. We had a great time. The other one he was talking about, you should go back and listen to the episode for all the listeners.
It's very early on. It's like episode 4. We got to get Merv back.
The other one he was talking about, he goes, people used to ask me, do you get bored out in the field? And he goes, no. You go, well, what do you do? Nothing. What do you think about? Nothing. He goes, and then people say, oh, you retired now. What do you do? He goes, nothing. You go, what do I sit on the couch? Would you watch TV? No. He gave this 40-second spiel about how he just manages to sit there and do nothing with his life.
He's a Zen master.
It was fantastic, and obviously all the great stories from the old Footscray days, which were also
awesome. But anyway, we're talking this one. All right. So how the hell you're there at the Melbourne Stars? You're dominating. You're one of the best. Probably my favourite Melbourne Stars player
ever.
of all time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Good to hear. It's pretty sad.
So then I believe you then went off to Birmingham. Is that right? You played in Birmingham.
Yeah. So played in Birmingham, but in the off season, as a cricketer or some of the young batsmen would go over and play the English summer, so that you're sort of playing all year round. So I did 3 separate stints over in England, and loved it while I was playing cricket.
Recently married?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, sorry, married. Just at Christmas time. Yeah, it was a long engagement with COVID, but at Christmas time.
What was the day? Because you would have been we would have been right next to each other, me and you.
29th.
Yeah, so a week before.
Week
so
off.
22nd. But that was over in England?
Yeah, it was over in England. So Laura, my wife, is from the West Midlands, and
you met over there.
Yeah, met over there. Yeah,
cool. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you go over to Birmingham.
Yeah.
Is
that where the Peaky Blinders are from?
It is. Yeah, one of the few things that Birmingham are famous for, I think. But no, it is a great part of the world, and we had an amazing wedding, and lots of Laura's family and friends were there, and a few Aussies were able to make the trip as well.
Yeah. Firstly, obviously, congratulations to you and your lovely wife. Secondarily, provided a great platform to see some of the Bulldogs players dressed as Irishmen. Caleb Daniel, Libba, they looked fantastic. If anyone's trawl back through the archives on social media because there were some great photos. It was obviously a great day, but obviously the reason you've gone back over there is not only wife, but do you intend on spending more time over there as the life progresses, or are you going to be a Melbourne boy forever?
Yeah, possibly. Laura's really enjoying herself living in Australia. She was pretty settled in Adelaide, and then obviously got the trade, and she had to sort of start things again work-wise and stuff, which a lot of the partners do for us. Which is amazing what they give up and the sacrifices. But we could end up spending some time back over in England. It's certainly something that we'd consider. But loving our time in Melbourne at the moment.
So you go back to you're in Birmingham, and then you get a contract with the South Australian Cricket Board, the Redbacks, I guess. And then the Crows come sniffing. What sort of clandestine meeting is it? Where, do they bring you aside to, one of the 24-hour bakeries, you meet at 2 a.m. and they're like, hey,
Rundle Mall.
We're here, you can kick a footy. Why don't you come out? How do they convince you to switch codes?
Yeah, no, it was a strange time, very exciting in terms of, firstly disappointment with finishing up my time at Crew Victoria, but then I've got a lot to thank for the AFL's Category B rookie rule, where they, if you've had, I think it's 3 years not registered with any football team at all, then you can be listed outside of the draft. So
cool, I've got hope.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. So through that rule, there was a little bit of interest because I'd played some footy when I was younger, with Adelaide, it was funny. Phil Walsh at the time was coach, and he flew over to Melbourne, and this was before I went to England, and we had a meeting and talked about the possibilities of playing over in Adelaide and things like that. And then history will have it that he was tragically killed that year. So it was obviously a really traumatic time for the club and things. But I was sitting over in England thinking, do I still have a job when I get back and stuff? So lots of uncertainty in terms of when I was coming back from that cricket season. I had agreed with a local team in Adelaide to play some cricket the following summer, and also through the Saka to train with the Redbacks with no guarantees of playing professionally. So, and the football was all of a sudden up in the air. So I decided to move anyway, and I moved without Adelaide having a coach, and they ended up signing Don Pike, who has a little bit of a cricket background. I feel like saying,
nice.
Like Scott Pendlebury has a basketball background. Pikey, had some experience in cricket, played a fair bit of cricket himself, and he was sort of open to me playing cricket that summer, and I think they were as much feeling me out and wanting to have a look at me train over that summer, as well as me having a go at footy again. So I was into their sort of training program and still playing cricket for the summer.
Wow. So you had to juggle basically an AFL level pre-season, is that right? With playing cricket on the weekends.
Yeah, it was weird how it worked. It was I was basically treated like I had an injury when I first got to the club. They stuck me in the rehab group, and I think
he's carrying a cricket.
Because it was pretty intimidating. I'm sure James would maybe relate to it, but you rock up to the club and these are seasoned AFL players, and I haven't had a kick of the footy for 6 years by this point, so proper kick of the footy. A lot of the cricketers think that they're star AFL players, but
it was awkward the first time you grabbed the share and you rubbed it on your leg.
It's also funny because cricketers, like footballers, think they can be cricketers because they're athletes, but cricketers aren't athletes. And they think they can be footballers for the most part. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but you debuted at the Crows like halfway through 2017, so you came in pretty quick.
Yeah, so that was the following year. I had a full year in the Samful. It is, yep. And then another half a season after that. But it was just that summer when I was playing cricket and footy was so enjoyable. I just felt like a kid again. You just sort of rolling with the punches, and I was absolutely knackered by the time I'd get to game day for cricket. But in a funny way, it sort of helped me. I was just really relaxed and didn't really care about the results too much, and had a good year with the bat. So, but at the end of the season, it was pretty clear that I'd tried my absolute best with the cricket, and I was probably fighting a losing battle in terms of where my talents had got me. So, really good opportunity to get back into the AFL system as a rookie. I think I was 23 or 24 at that stage.
Yeah, so you went to your fallback plan basically, and then so then everyone on this podcast barracks for the Dogs. So let's get back to the most important part of it. So you then what was the process of actually joining the Western Bulldogs? And what's been the best part? Because
he requested a trade specifically to us, which I like.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
That means that there's conversations going on behind the scenes. That's what that is.
No, I assume you watched footage of the '97 prelim and just went, "I'm with the wrong team. I'm with the bad guys."
Yeah, no, I once the Bulldogs was an option, and I was out of contract towards the end of the year. There was probably, it'd be fair to say, it was a bit of a tumultuous time at Adelaide with falling short of
certain things. Yes,
yeah. So the camp, and then falling short of expectation after making a grand final with an older sort of list. So they were looking to make some changes, and once the Bulldogs was an option, it was really exciting. The guys who are some of our hardened senior players now, they were sort of coming through the ranks, and it was a really, really young, exciting list, and something that I was really keen to be a part of.
I think on the topic of being a part of, what's we've obviously interviewed Cash earlier today about the Western Bulldogs Community Foundation. You do a lot of work along with Buku and a couple of the other guys popping in and out, but it seems like you've been carrying quite a fair bit of the load over the last few years. How did you sort of get introduced to the foundation, and what are some of the work that you have done? But maybe more importantly, why do you think it's a worthwhile sort of foundation to support?
Yeah, no, the Community Foundation's fantastic at the Dogs. I think, to use the platform that we've got as a club to have such a big impact in the community is fantastic. And you mentioned there's a lot of players that get involved, and I think that we get as much out of it as the participants do. And you mentioned Buku, who does an awesome job. Libba and JJ, and there's many others that have done a lot more work than me over the years. And I think it's really well run by Joe Hanna and the team. And we've really enjoyed being part of it. So we've done a bit with I've done a bit with the goal program over the last few years, and
sort of the youth mentoring side of things.
Yeah, so a lot of building relationships, and working through goals and ambitions, and
how do you do that, Keathy? How do you go? Hey, guys, look. Hey, if maybe you won't achieve your goals, maybe you'll have to just be an AFL footballer,
be an NBA basketball.
They're pretty inspiring kids, and they're great to be around. They definitely aim for the stars, which is awesome. So, a lot of participants with huge ambitions, which we absolutely love. And I think it's just a great way for us to connect with the community. And we're the Western Bulldogs, based in the western suburbs, and to have an impact in these types of areas, I think it's really powerful.
Well, we won't keep you too much longer, Keathy, because it's been a day. I presume you're in the middle of a training day at the moment. What's on the schedule at the moment?
So we had training and a review this morning. Not too bad of a day.
Reviews are always easier after winning 5 on the trot, I found. Over the years.
Beating your old mob in Adelaide. Sadly, you went on the field. When are we hoping to see you? You're on this week, surely.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, couldn't get a game this week, so doing whatever I can to put my best foot forward and hopefully put my name up for selection.
We, as a now fan, ex-player of the club, and Danny, tragic fan forever. I must say it has been fantastic having you at the Bulldogs. We have needed a key back for so long, and you've played some incredible footy for us, so thank you for that. But also thank you for the work that you do with the foundation, and thank you for your time and insight as to what is one of the craziest and most ridiculous sporting careers I think that has gone on in recent times. So, mate, kudos to you, and Danny, if you've got anything else you'd like to
add. Should I still go for the Stars in the 2020 in the Big Bash?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that who you go for?
Perennial underachievers, but when we do,
should we adopt the Stars as the official Danny Boyd team?
Yeah, I think so.
All right,
So,
done.
well, Renegades is aligned with the West, so
Yeah,
I'll leave it up to you.
and with my manager, who's been on the board.
Right, there you go.
Time.
But when
But I don't like him either, so I'm happy to stay.
when the Stars do win the ultimate, I think it'll be pretty special. If
We'll get on the bandwagon the week before, eh?
Yeah, okay, that's a good plan. That's a good plan. All right, thanks, Keathy.
Cheers, thanks, guys.
I gave my childhood to that roar of the red, white and blue sea, and the knowledge that you had two loves, the Bulldog boys and me. 20 years on, I feel that longing hanging in September air. But the reason I go every week is to pretend you're still there. And they will find the glory one day, and I will throw it at your feet. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets.